just, you know.
Yeah, noted. Good thing you said that.
I think that was why. The mic levels probably weren't up, so just wait for a second until I hear ambient here to confirm that I hear something. Okay.
So testing 1, 2, 3. Do I need to sit closer, or can I do this? Can you hear me if I just sit here?
We have 3 people watching.
Oh yeah, we have audio here. Let's do one more test. 1, 2, 3.
Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Do you want Jen to check?
Check it, check, check, check. I think there are people watching online now.
Hello to everyone out there.
And I can hear us talking now through the, what do you call it?
Through what? The microphone?
No, on here.
Oh.
Yeah. See?
Oh, okay.
I should turn that down. It's going to get confusing. How do I turn it down?
I don't know.
Oh, here we go.
Did you find it?
Yeah. Bear with us a few minutes while we.
We only have what?
So getting audience, someone decides to speak, ask a question, just repeat the question.
Well, we can use one of them. Like this one's closer, so we can. Do you want me to put it on the floor, or?
Keep it the way it is. Question, just repeat it. Say question 1 or block. Just if someone asks.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll give it another few minutes.
How do you want to start this, Jen?
It's a lot of pressure, Aaron. You better have some questions.
Michelle Robertson says,
Awesome.
Bob's here.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle. Tuning in from Stephenville. Hope all is well over on the West Coast. Yeah.
Michelle Robertson and.
Text just came in. I'm just going to check that really quickly.
I typed hi Michelle and as soon as I pressed enter, you said hi Michelle.
So, do we want to just start? Are
Um,
we ready, Patrick?
You can start whenever you like.
Okay.
1 second there now. It's just Chris Myers texting me.
Oh, okay.
Hey, David.
They don't need to turn it all the way off, Patrick. Just down a little bit, yeah.
How are you? Bonnie, this is David J. He's our
Oh.
former president.
Oh, hi. Very nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. He's just asking what time he should be here.
Well, we want to capitalize if people do get here.
Yeah.
So I would say at the very latest, 8:30.
Yeah.
So 8:15.
Kenema? Look at you. You're some fancy.
What's he doing?
He's asking me to acknowledge the logo. That's in the top right of the corner. Okay, he says.
Okay.
Maybe we'll get started. I'd like to see more people here, but
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the ship and to the town hall meeting, the second town hall meeting, and the Factor MusicNL open mic night. We're going to get started. Hopefully, people will come on in from the snow and join us as the night progresses. This evening is designed for you, our members. We want to give you a voice and let you speak about, the current programs as they are, any kind of new initiatives that you might want to see, anything that's on your mind that MusicNL can serve you better. That is what this evening is about. So we can start with, do we want to start with some questions? Does anybody have, I know we got a few surveys in, but there wasn't that many. So I'm hoping that people are going to chime in online and ask questions, and hopefully everyone got at least a chance to look at the survey. And perhaps we can just start by going through some of the questions. So the first question we asked was, which MusicNL programs have you applied for? And we listed all the programs and then listed a fifth option that if you do not apply, then we would like you to, give us a reason why. Maybe explain why you haven't accessed anything yet. So maybe we can start by just talking about the programs. I know right now, currently, we have the demo recording program and we have the sound recording program. One of the things that has come up on some of the surveys and just in general conversation with some of the members, are these programs relevant to you anymore? Would you like to see maybe if we apply for a project as opposed to a sound recording program and then the market access and then the professional development? We were thinking maybe it might be a good idea to have different tiers of programs. So let's say a beginner accesses a program, and then the next level would be emerging, and then the next level would be advanced. Would anybody like to comment on anything like that?
Maybe what we should do is for the people that are here for this little powwow, maybe if you guys can come up, I don't mean to point y'all
Put
out.
you in the spotlight.
But if you're way back there, it'll be hard to get to speak to you. If we can get you guys to come on up, cuddle in. It's the winter, everybody in. Put another log on the fire back there now, Bev.
So, Jen, maybe we should talk about some of the things that have come up with the sound recording programs. Mm-hmm. Do you want to jump in? It's
Specifically on
just on some of the comments that have come in, what they don't like about it.
Mm-hmm. Anybody here access sound recording before? We got a few in the room. Anybody here applied for it and didn't get it? Sound recording? A couple in the room. I guess one thing that we could discuss that was a big question that we talked about is do you guys see value in outside juries for this particular program? Right now we do a jury that in our boardroom with local industry people and with local artists. We're wondering if you guys see value in holding these juries outside of the province. It would be an electronic submission where you'd submit everything electronically like you do with your travel funds, but that the juries take place with outside music industry professionals. Just wondering if anybody feels like that's a good idea or a bad idea or indifferent. Any questions or comments, Sarah? And maybe we are going to need a mic out on the floor.
Yeah. Out there, but before I do, one of the things that I think is beneficial to outside jurors is that it could be a festival buyer from, Edmonton or Winnipeg or Vancouver or Victoria. And if they hear your music and they like it, it could open up doors and windows for many of the artists that are here. If we keep it contained to just Newfoundland our professionals, then you close that door on that opportunity. So, and it also kind of opens it up to unbiased opinions too. So, do you want me to hear?
I think that's a fair point. The one thing I like about, I haven't applied for that program, but what I like MusicNL right now is that.
Matt, would you?
We're going to give you a microphone just so the people online can hear the discussion also. So, not meaning to draw attention on anybody, but if you can speak into a mic. I think you're all musicians. You're used to speaking into mics, or at least singing into them.
Much more than I am, so.
So I'll just hand it up to you. We'll just cuddle in and share this one.
Do I have to stand up or?
Just make sure we're still on the thing here. So just to reiterate, the question for those online that we just asked was, should our juries be outsourced outside the province for our sound recording program?
I don't know if I have too much to add to that, but I haven't even applied for the program, but from what I have applied with MusicNL, the one thing that I liked is that every time I've had a question or I'm wondering about a program that I'm applying for, I've literally just called you or walked down to the office and I found out everything I need to know, and so I know what I need to do in order to be the most successful with that program. And I don't know if having outside jurors would affect that to some degree, and I do like the idea of having unbiased opinions or having people outside Newfoundland markets to hear music, which is really nice. That does help. But the one thing I have appreciated about MusicNL so far is just the ease of access and how it's easy to expedite the process to get an application going just by talking to people who are going to be having a direct effect on whether you're successful or not. So in terms of having it outside jurors, I really do like how it's kind of contained with MusicNL. That's just one aspect that I see. But that's all I have to say.
Anyone else? Matt?
I'm definitely pro having outside unbiased juries, but I'd just like to bring up the point. This is something I've never really thought about before. Having local juries is not necessarily all a bad thing, because those people who are on the juries are probably the people who are going to be going to the shows. You're meeting them, you're having constant conversations with them. So while there will be biases that emerge, maybe it's not always a bad thing to have somebody who's seen locally. So I know that it's definitely puts the onus on the applicants to accurately express what they're doing, and that definitely raises the bar for the applications. While
But how about a mixture?
I think that's probably what
I
the
wasn't
best point here.
suggesting that it should be all outside jurors.
No, definitely not.
I definitely think that we need our local professionals involved as well.
Sure.
But just, maybe instead of 3 jurors, we take it to 4 and we do 2 outside and 2
Absolutely.
within.
Yeah, I think there's definitely somewhere in between. I think that's where
And
my
Yeah, I
opinion
just
would
think that you guys will get like these unknown opportunities presented just by, acknowledgement. Like we had a few outside jurors for the awards night, the MusicNL week, and person that I know very well was losing his mind at how much talent there was in this, and he's an industry professional. He's a producer. He's done music supervision, and he absolutely fell in love with the music in this province. Anybody going to his market, I can let him know, or people can let him know, he's going to be able to help you guys open new doors and access new opportunities. So I think that that's one thing that could bring to the table by having outside jurors.
Anyone else with any comment there? David?
David Chafe. I'm a classical pianist. And I just want a question for you, actually. How do you strike, or is there a way to strike I guess, a balance of knowledge or expertise on a jury when it comes to uh, uh, I've submitted for classical funding in the past and by MusicNL, but approved by other bodies. And so with the same application, essentially. So there's some merit seen by someone in the province. So I guess this isn't meant to be a criticism at all, because I don't know, and rightly so, I don't know how it works jury-wise specifically. But if, for example, you have, a high-quality classical submission and high-quality trad and high-quality, singer-songwriter or whatever, do you have ways to ensure that the classical submission, something that might not be quite as seen as mainstream or popular, is equally assessed?
Yeah, like I've sat on many factor juries myself,
Sure.
and pardon me, been involved in that kind of thing, and even when Jen is picking the jurors or we're doing it together locally, basically you pick people that are going to be open-minded, industry professionals from different walks of life. So it's not all, people from the rock world or people from, the country world or people from, we try to get a broad taste in there and have them assess the project based on the project and its merits, whether it be a marketing plan, how much detail goes into it, when was the last time they applied?
Sure.
All of these things get taken into consideration alongside the music. So I think that it's a matter of, that's why I wanted to open it up to the idea of project funding as opposed to sound recording and then,
Right.
different, so that you have to keep applying. Instead, you put your whole marketing plan together with everything in it, with your sound recording, your touring, everything.
Sure.
And you divide your budget up. That way you don't have to spend $9,000 on the sound recording. Maybe you only need $5,000, and then the rest can be used for marketing. So there's different ways of looking at it. But I think that the fair assessment comes in,
Okay.
and everybody kind of looks at the various different things beyond the music. How much do they tour? What's their social media like? And social media is definitely becoming a much more gauging way to assess an artist, because let's face it, sales are not what they used to be. And so we definitely want to take a look at that and see how much merit needs to be put in there. I know Factor did a lot of that with their revamping of their. So hopefully I answered your
You
question.
did, yeah, thank you. And I just have one really quick comment, and then I'll pass it around again, and that has to do with the location, I guess, of jurors. And I'm certainly more in favor, I think, of outsourcing, as you were, outside the province or certainly outside the region than keeping it inside. Only because even though I might be seen as in a different, less popularized genre and a little under the radar, I know thousands of musicians in the province, and I can't imagine being on a jury and how I would respond if I saw one submission of somebody that I know personally or professionally. So just any possibility of removing any element of bias is a good thing.
Cool. Do we want to move on to
Sure.
other
gonna stick with
issues?
sound recording?
Yeah, sure.
We're just referring to the survey and then to some of the comments we got back from the survey. So that's kind of the questions that we're reflecting back onto you. So if any more questions come from the discussion, we'll just let it go there, if that's cool. We also asked about the criteria for sound recording. And if people thought that some of the criteria should be changed. And it seemed like one common thing that was discussed was the fact that we require that your eligible expenses for your recording costs specifically need to be done within a MusicNL member studio within the province. Some people felt that it should be eligible for you to record outside of the province. So wondering if anybody had any comment on that, if they agree or disagree. Anybody out
Well, I'll comment on that then. I have the mic in my hand.
Yeah.
I when I filled out the survey, I definitely indicated that, just because in my own personal circumstance, that's where we are. However, I feel that a lot of people these days are renting gear, finding alternative locations to record. I don't know if rentals are included in.
No.
They're not exactly.
Well, no,
yeah.
yes, rental costs can be eligible, but
Okay.
you can't purchase any goods.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and I understand that, and I think that's probably reasonable. So I would say that maybe we come up with an alternative where maybe it's a MusicNL producer, maybe it's a MusicNL engineer, maybe it's not a studio that we're looking for, because I know some people rent a space, borrow gear, and if you only have $1,000 to work with, I mean, most studios around are $40 an hour. That gets you 2-3 days plus not much left for mixing, mastering, right? So that's, I can see where a lot of people are coming from, even on the local side, that it, maybe the studios, or maybe we open up to alternative areas of recording. As for MusicNL Studios, I understand that MusicNL would need to support its own members, and that makes sense to me. But that's probably all I have to say there.
So further to that point, and again, going back to the surveys, so say if we allowed an artist to record outside the province. On the flip side, if we allowed you to bring in a producer, do you think it would make sense for us to cover travel and accommodations for a producer? Because right now, travel and accommodations aren't eligible underneath the program. So do you agree with, bringing in outside producers and paying for their travel accommodations? Or on the flip side, paying for a members' travel and accommodations to go off the island and work with a producer?
I guess it's a lot of people would be traveling for the location of recording. Certain qualities of studios or potential gear or even environments aren't accessible in Newfoundland. I mean, it's a small province. I mean, there could be a board in LA that you need to use. I mean, there's different qualities gear. So I could understand that flying MusicNL members would. However, I feel like if we don't allow travel and accommodations for producers, people are going to pay their producers more, tell their producers to pay for their own way, but they'll work themselves around that anyway. I'd say it's probably, the same no matter how you spend the money. The money is probably going to get spent the same way.
What if we entertained partial recordings outside of the province, but maybe start the project here? Because part of, the government gives us funding to develop our own communities as well, so that needs to be taken into consideration. But maybe if certain, I know that we already do with mixing and mastering and things like that, but maybe if there's a good argument or there's, a good reason for you to go somewhere else, maybe it's an all-in fee, maybe it's an amazing studio, who knows. Maybe there's a way to entertain that the government might accept.
Yeah.
But I understand their reasons for wanting everything to stay here for, to help develop business.
Yeah, no, and grants ultimately end up in the hands of the industry folks, right? I mean, the studios, the engineers, the mixing, the bands don't keep the money, so that is understandable.
Yeah.
Any other comments from anybody on that? Aaron?
Back to the previous question, I have to make a comment, but I also agree that I think outsourcing some of the jurying would be of impartiality that might bring people who aren't already involved in the organization in. Like, we played for a lot of years and didn't get involved, and when people said you should, but I said, I don't know any of those people. Like, what are they going to do for me? That was a poor attitude looking back, but that's kind of what we all said. We looked at each other, and then when we did get involved, we didn't apply the first time because we're kind of like, well, we don't know anybody, so what's the point? Like, and then you look at the criteria and there's a section for references, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I can get a bar owner to give me a reference because I know them. I play around all the time and all that, but do I know anyone of significant influence? At the time, no, I didn't. Probably still don't. But yeah, and I thought that was good, and so that's why I wanted to. I know that's still one of the requirements, and that's probably the scariest one for any new group of people coming in and they want to apply for it, and there's a reference section, and they say, like, they're kind of thinking, do I want a community reference that says, hey, he's a good guy, he's not going to steal your money, he's like a reputable person, but do you know an influential musician? Maybe you don't, you know?
What about testimonials?
Yeah, exactly.
Think I kind of like the idea of testimonials almost better than letters of reference because, you know, having been on both sides of the fence, and I've been a manager and I've done all these other things, most of those letters of references get written by the artist and then the person that they've given,
Signs off.
right? So I like testimonials better because if it's, you know, somebody from a radio station that's seen you live and they give you a testimonial, I'd rather see a page of testimonials than letters of reference. How do you guys feel about that? Is that easier to attain than, because I know people are busy and sometimes it's hard for them to get to it, which is why that happens. So is that, you know, maybe it's a quote that somebody gave you in an article.
I think that's even better. Like, yeah, people heard the music, they may comment on it in a magazine or something. Because when it comes to, I think that's probably the most intimidating criteria. People are like, I believe in my demo work that I did and everything else I submitted here, but maybe I don't know someone who's already famous, or I don't know anyone who's extremely well known, or I don't know anybody that you know. Therefore, what's the point of that reference? That means nothing.
Or
you know?
maybe it's a question of understanding what the letter of reference is about, because it doesn't have to be somebody famous. It doesn't have to be. It has to be an industry professional that can speak on your behalf, or that understands what you do. That's, I think, more what they're looking for, is just a testimonial, but in a letter of, in a letter form. But maybe it would be smart for us to look at using, a sheet full of testimonials as opposed to that sort of official letter of reference from people in the music community, whether it be, somebody who Perez Records, or maybe it's, somebody that books the bar, or maybe it's a festival buyer, that might make a little more sense, but we'd love to hear what everybody thinks about that.
I think anything that would make the process seem less intimidating to someone new will get more people involved in the organization, because they won't do what I did, which now, like I said, I wish I hadn't done that, but
Right.
That's how it ended up. Yeah.
But I will read out some of your comments. Michelle's over on the West Coast. Hello, Michelle. She just mentioned that she doesn't feel that the demo grants are as relevant anymore, less so than, say, general marketing or video. It'd be great to see market access funds without having to associate it to a recording project. She says yes, 4 yeses, in fact, to outside juries. She feels that local juries by nature are biased and think that our artists will get better mileage from an unbiased opinion. And she's saying that she disagrees with something. I'm not sure what that is, because it's out of context now. But she says she don't think that we should limit to only MusicNL studios, but we should give preference to local. After all, these are our tax dollars. We should be supporting our local economy first. And she feels that we could educate our members on the producers, engineers, mixers, mastering, etc. that we have available here in the province. Thanks, Michelle, for your comments. I'll make a point to keep things refreshed and let your comments be known. Keep going on the sound recording thing.
If there's more comments, yeah.
Okay, another thing that we discussed was some funding programs, namely Factor, they don't have grants per se, but they do loans. So if you receive the funding, then it's repayable per unit, so much money. What would the members think about having repayable loans as opposed to grants?
If you could apply for them at any time, they would be useful.
Let's give Aaron a mic.
That's a good point, actually.
If you could apply for them at any time, they would be useful, because I find that having things come up twice a year And say if you got 4 people or 5 people in working in a group, but they also have a day job, very hard to organize yourself around getting ready for this 1 month. And then if you miss it, then it's 6 months. But even if you could apply for the loan at any time, because you're promising to give the money back, and any normal situation where you get a loan, I can go in and apply any day of the week for a loan. That'd be very helpful, because if you miss the deadline for the grant, at least there's another option to finance it until I can get through and maybe apply for the grant for the second half of a project that I'm doing and fund the first. So then I don't have to wait 6 months to get started.
Okay. Well, I guess further to that, what do people think about our deadlines? So what we do right now for recording, we have 2 deadlines a year, one in the summer and one in the winter. But for our travel funds, we just have a deadline of 2 weeks in advance, 2 weeks before you go, and then we review them once a month. How do people feel about those particular deadlines? Should we be doing them more? Should we be doing them less? Greg? We need to get a mic. Those people online can hear you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
This has gone black. Is that more?
I like the format that the travel grants for market access and professional development, that it's you can apply up to 2 weeks before the start of the project. That's okay, but I think it can be refined a little bit. As someone who spends a lot of time at certain times of the year grant writing and making budgets, if there is like a regular time that juries meet, say every month, that okay, is there any market access, any professional development? No, okay, we don't meet. Yes, we meet on this week, so that you can predict, like, okay, well, if you submit at the beginning of the month, you have a deadline kind of within that month. Because I've been in, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, where we've been in situations where it's like, okay, you apply in advance and you're expecting 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but maybe it ends up being closer to a month, or it's so you're just not really sure exactly when you'll hear back. Yeah. So a little bit of refinement in that area would be, I think, welcome.
The reason, though, for that is because you can't always predict when these people can meet, right? For obvious reasons, they're volunteers. So it's difficult to actually pinpoint an exact date. Plus, you're not supposed to rely on the grants. They're supposed to, you have to think about this as and you're going to do these, you're going to do this regardless of whether you get the money or not. And in most cases, most of you are going to do it whether you get it or not. So it's not really a good idea to think about the grant system as, if I don't get it, I'm not going to do it. Instead, if I get it, it's a bonus. Because it really, to build your business surrounding the grants would be a shame, because then you'd probably miss out on other opportunities because you didn't find a way to make it happen, But into consideration for sure.
Could I make a comment?
Sure.
Just in addition to what we were just talking about in terms of the loan idea, I would never like to see any of the grant money at all transfer into a loan. But if there could be additional monies added, perhaps as a loan for any time of the year, because I think that is helpful. But one thing that I play in Baytown, we recently got a band bank account, imagine. And we didn't realize that one of the things that we got with actually having our band name, yes, you have to pay a monthly fee, but having our band name on a bank account is that, well, it's according, as far as the bank is concerned, it's a business. And so at that point, you can actually apply for a business line of credit, which, when you're buying your flights and, waiting to see if the grant money comes in, everyone has to buy their flights early. You can't wait till the grant money comes in. So everyone's doing that anyways. So it's like, okay, rather than put it on your personal credit card, you can put it on the band line of credit and you're not paying crazy interest. Anyways, that's something that that's great. Using and is useful, I think.
That means you're thinking about it as a business, as opposed to just, applying for funding and seeing if you get it. And I like that. I think that's forward thinking and very smart. And you're right, that means you aren't personally liable. It means your band is, and the company is. And I think that's really smart. We hope to in the future have more workshops on business and how to run them and that sort of thing to help you guys get set up properly. And maybe Robert will sit in on one of those panels for us. You're always. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Yes, but it isn't one person being responsible for the whole band. But you're right. Yeah.
Michelle online just wanted to comment, Greg, on what you said, and she said that she feels maybe making the meetings public, the dates of the meetings public, would help. Do you think that would help? I mean, in some cases, we have a meeting and then somebody hands in an application the next day. So then it's going to be 4 or 5 weeks, before they meet again. We used to do them electronically, completely electronically. So every time I get an application, it'd just be sent electronically to the committee, and then they'd review it via email and come back that way. Would that be something that could be a suggestion we could give back, to go back that way? The turnaround is certainly quicker. It's just you're not getting that face-to-face meeting of people, applications. What do you think of that?
The other thing about having deadlines is that is part of it too. Like if you have rolling deadlines, then she's right. If your application comes in the day after they meet, we can't expect people to just drop everything just for the one application. But if there is a deadline, then everybody knows when the deadline is and everybody can work towards it. It doesn't mean you have to wait for that deadline to put it in. But at least that way you have a good idea that they're going to meet right after that happens. So it can go both ways.
Yeah, I think either or would be good, because if we are talking about our bands and our traveling and everything as in terms of a business, the more you know, the better you're going to be able to plan. You can plan for, well, by this date, I will know if I have the money or not. And if I get the money, then I'm doing this. If I don't get the money, I'm doing this. You can plan. And so in those situations where you're working on your application and you might not know when the date is coming up, I mean, of course you could call, but I know I've been in the situation where I don't necessarily call to see when it is, or you decide to start that day and, it was actually yesterday. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to wait 4 or 5 weeks. But if ahead of time, like they were posted on or whatever, or if it was the same deadline every month or I don't know. But at least then you can plan. You have plan A and plan B either way. And I think that's, that's just useful. And the online thing, of course, I think that if increases turnaround, that's great. I don't really have an opinion on whether or not it's better for judges to get together and adjudicate. But if juries are going to be moving all off the island, so it's going to be electronic for market access and for professional development.
Well, maybe we can
anyways.
jump into that.
Yeah,
Or
maybe
no?
we'll jump into
Is
that.
that bad?
Well, if you look at the programs if you look at sound recording and demo, say if we call them recording programs, and we can look at the other two as travel programs, market access for tours and professional development for professional development initiatives. They can be looked at in two different ways. So the recording ones, to send them off to a jury, the juries would then receive your marketing plan, your music, your EP, etc. Whereas with the touring programs, you're receiving a bit of a different package. You're more receiving itineraries, information about the group. I guess it's a bit of a different application process. So, I mean, Bonnie have talked about it a bit, and I felt that the touring programs should stay in the province with people that are more familiar with the groups, whereas I felt that the recording programs could be outsourced because, it's a marketing plan, it's music, it's kind of a universal thing. Does anybody have an opinion on if they feel that all of them should be outsourced, or just the recording, or mixed? Aaron?
Again, one of the things that I think will open up opportunities for you, especially with touring and showcasing and things like that. If we do a mixture jury, then again, you're going to be opening yourself up to new opportunities, potentially. So again, it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, my initial thought was that considering the music coming from the province as an export, my initial thought was that maybe local juries would be better for that part of the programs. But now that you make that point, I mean, there's that argument as well, where other opportunities may become available to us based on who's sitting on that jury.
Yeah.
Would it be possible if we had like a mostly, if we're doing things electronically, say, I'm not saying that's necessarily how they need to be done, but if that's what we move back to, how big are the panels normally? 3 people, 4 people,
3 or 4
5,
people.
3 or 4 people. I mean, maybe one of those people could be from out of town because, even if you've heard a band once or heard their name or whatever, it's giving you a bias in some kind of bias. So maybe having at least one completely fresh set of eyes and ears looking at their plan, they might be able to, see something in an application that local jurors might
What
not.
do you think of 2 and 2?
I don't
It
really
just-
know either way, but I'm just saying that's something to consider. Either way, I think at this point I don't really know how other industry associations do it, or I don't really have an opinion. But if we're thinking about that, then maybe having one of the jurors or 2 or something as off the outside of the province could be a good place. It works.
Just to add to that, I guess I keep on going to the idea of keeping it contained in Newfoundland because I feel like there's intangibles that someone who knows someone or has seen someone can really interpret that people out of the province can't. And I guess that does bring in impartiality as part of a factor in that. But if you've seen a band live or you've seen how they can present themselves, that doesn't come across on their grant application. You can get a lot better feel of how they're actually going to present themselves when they go on tour or go to another province. So I think there's still a lot to be said about keeping it within.
But if it goes online, they have access to all of your social media and everything anyway, so they could probably see a lot if they're not seeing what they, and most of them do. Like most of the people that I know that sit on juries,
Yeah.
they don't just go by what was submitted to them. They'll go online and they'll check everything out. They'll check whatever band is applying, and they'll look at everything that they're doing online just because it's so easy
Yeah,
these
no, that's
days.
fair enough. Yeah.
Michelle and Scott online. What's up, guys? Said that they agree with touring and what we just discussed, touring and recording. They feel worse the recording, but keep travel in Newfoundland. Want to move on to?
Can I ask a question first? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to come back to Bonnie, your idea of like you're doing it anyway, right? So I'm like right in the process of that because we missed the Factor deadline because one of our guys was recording another album with another group for January, and our engineer was also working on a different one, the guy we usually use, so we couldn't get our demo done. We started this weekend actually doing the demo, so the next time that comes up is in 6 or 8 months or something like that. My understanding is that receipts have to be after the date that the grant was awarded, right?
Yes.
Is there any way you can look at like back?
No, submission date usually. Well, I don't know about MusicNL, but for Factor.
For Factor, but your grants, for instance,
You're talking about recording, right?
recording grant.
Yes. We don't
You can't
do retroactive.
You can't
to
do
the
retroactive
deadline date,
receipts,
yeah.
but is there a particular reason for that? Like I only ask because say my parents like work in the agriculture industry. It's like grant heavy world. They they always submit retroactive receipts. They go ahead and they're doing whatever they're doing anyway. There's a pool of money allotted to, you know, development of that industry. They submit retroactive receipts though.
Would you guys like to see, like, if your receipts go back to the submission date? So if there is a deadline, but you applied 2 months before that, if we went retroactive to your submission date, would that work?
I think that would be helpful. I mean, as long as you can prove, and I understand that your side of it is that you need like proof that all this money was
Sure,
being
the
spent.
accounting of it,
I mean,
yeah.
as long as you can submit reasonable proof that you could retroactively. So then, like, in the case where you're not completely ready for now, but I don't really want to start 8 months to record my album, because then I lose a year essentially by the
Yeah.
time that it goes on forever. Anybody who's been involved in it, like that would be helpful, you know.
Because that's what Factor does. I mean, we can
Yeah.
put that down for consideration for
And
sure.
I think that the loan as a supplement, not moving grant money to loan, but also having the loan that's another option then. So a missed deadline doesn't mean 6 months lost, 8 months lost in a world where
Right.
you're trying to stay on top of creating
Sure.
like a sound that's for today, you know.
Good point.
Okay, talking about some eligible expenses, we asked in the survey. We went through each of the 4 programs and asked people if they felt that some of the eligible expenses worked or if they didn't work. And we got a couple of suggestions about things that people, for example, conference fees. So under professional development, if somebody goes to a conference, we only take care of the travel and accommodations. We do not allow the actual fees for the conference. And the other one was per diems. I'm sure everybody would like per diems. NLAC funds per diems, we don't. So just wondering if you guys agree with adding those. Is there any more eligible expenses that you would like to see? Or do we have certain eligible expenses that you think are kind of obsolete
yeah.
right now?
Are festivals part of the requirements underneath the tour grants? Like, I thought I saw something about festivals.
Can somebody hand?
A showcase at a festival is eligible, but say your tickets to the festival or your registration fees or anything like that is ineligible. But
If I play a festival on a tour, is that, can I use that
Yes.
as one of the,
yes,
okay, I can.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
Well,
thought
you
it
can
says
do a
something-
one-off gig at a festival, and that would be considered professional development, or it could be considered a date in a tour, and then it will be eligible.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
I think the addition of per diems for market access will be great.
Yes.
We had the opportunity to access the market access grant, and that was really the only thing that was missing for us in terms of a need.
Right.
That was it.
Right. Right. I thought so. Who doesn't want per diems?
But when you're going to, like, because when you're going to, like, CMW or any of those types of festivals, or even the ECMAs when it goes somewhere else, you can access the MusicNL funding. But if you can't pay for the conference fees itself, is that something that do you see as viable?
It can be very expensive.
I mean, CMW is like $800 for a full-on delegate pass. But if you get a showcase, then you usually get your own, you get the artist pass. But if you're just going on business level, would that be something you would like to see?
Yes.
Business development,
Yeah. Why not?
okay?
Just some more comments. As per eligible expenses, I agree with making conference fees an eligible expense. I think we should also consider a base unit price for promo CDs that were manufactured under a larger batch, but that would be handed out at conferences to key contacts.
Well, that marketing, I know one of the first things I noticed when I got here is that there's no programs for video, and there's no programs for marketing and promotion. Is that something that everyone would like to see? I see lots of hands going up on this one. Loaded question.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to add a 2 cents. I would love that, because if there's one thing I feel comfortable with, it's just actually writing my own music. But beyond that, I feel myself incapable, and I feel glad that I realize that I'm incapable in that regards, and learn to delegate and get other people to do that, or help me out with aspects of promoting myself. But I feel marketing or just website development or getting someone to help out with those aspects would really help promote Newfoundland artists as more professional and more prepared.
Well, website development and maintenance and promo CDs and press kits and all of those things, social media, street marketing, all of those things are under the umbrella of marketing and promotion, including publicity and radio and all the rest of it. So it would definitely, those things would all fall underneath there.
So if I understand correctly, this would be separate from
Yes.
sound recording.
Yeah.
So say if you're you record an album and you have a budget for marketing and promotion, which is relatively small compared to the rest of it, but as we all know, it can be very expensive for a publicist to get a website designed professionally is very expensive.
Yes.
So this would be outside of.
That's why I wanted to get some feedback on project based. Instead of sound recording, within that project base, you could make your sound recording. You would have, a pool of money that you could divide up via your budget when you submit it with your marketing plan. All of those things would be encompassed under that one. So then you could decide whether you want to spend $4,000 on your CD or $10,000 on your CD, depending on the money that gets allocated to that type of a program. And then to take that one step further, the different tiers, because there's obviously beginners that have never accessed funding or just starting out with their bands. Then there's sort of the middle ground, which I call emerging. I know some people call emerging the beginning, but for me, if you're, beginners, the ones that are just starting out, emerging is the next level, and then established. So that, the young beginners aren't competing with the established artists for money. Is that something that would be of interest to everybody, just to hit those different levels, much like a Factor or Star Maker
Or NLAC. That's how they do their projects. And I think it's changed a little bit in the past few years, but I know as myself, like coming out of university, I was able to, as not even an emerging artist, just out of university, just starting out, I was able to access funds from them. So I guess, I think it could be. I think that could be useful.
It's like it then helps so that a young beginner isn't writing like, a 6 to 8 page marketing plan, because they're not there yet, and so they can apply for funding just putting something out and having the experience of marketing and promoting that project. And yet the emerging wants to maybe take it outside the province, and so they're working on that level, and then the established artists are working on a different level altogether. Just love to hear what you guys think about that.
So when you say like an umbrella project or a project oriented, do you mean like a grant that would encompass your album, your marketing, almost everything in one?
Yes.
That sounds interesting, but one thing that I like or would maybe like to see is it just segregated, because it can be quite a bit to chew off just to do an album and a marketing plan, all that thing at once. If you had it almost segregated with a marketing, just to get yourself established, to have that website or to market yourself or get those connections.
That's the reason for the tiers.
Yeah,
right?
the tiers. But even if you have it at a lower tier for emerging, to get all of them at once can be, I find, a bit cumbersome. Just if you could just do like.
But when you're putting out a record,
Yeah,
I mean,
you need a marketing plan behind a record. I
you
definitely
need
agree with
all
that.
of these things in order to take it to another level.
No, that's definitely true. But if you're an emerging artist, sometimes getting a whole record of that one time when you just need a demo.
But that's it. That's what I'm talking about. Is the different stages.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the beginner is just, you just want to make a couple demos so that you can get it to the streams to see if they're even interested in working with you. Or maybe the emerging level is you've got an EP and you want to tour and you want to, sell and promote yourself as an artist, you're going to need to have a plan, and you're going to need that plan to have a budget. Like, all of those things are all encompassing in any project when
Yeah.
you're
Oh,
releasing.
definitely.
So it's definitely something you should be thinking about regardless of what stage,
Yep.
if you're releasing product.
Hmm.
I think thinking of it in tiers in that way, would the amount of money available to a beginner be less than an established?
Yes. That would be my sort of initial view of it.
Right, so a beginner would only have the opportunity to really release a solid demo rather than a first recording.
Well, it could be an EP too. I mean, I've seen
Okay.
many people get the $2,000, or now I think it's $1,500 from Factor, and they make a 5-song EP and they sell it.
Okay.
So it could be as simple as that, just starting in your own backyard, just to figure out how to do all those things and how to write a marketing plan and how to get to that next stage. But when you're at the stage where you want to leave the province and you want to take your music across the country, you're going to need a little extra push. And so if you're applying for a bigger pool of money at that point, then you should be more responsible for that pool of money. And then when you get to establish and maybe you're touring Europe, it's going to be even more,
Sure.
expensive. And so if you're competing at the emerging level with a beginner and they get it and you didn't because of whatever reason, well, when you put these juries together, you never know how they're going to turn out, because you don't know how somebody's going to vote for it. So if you segregate in that sense, it might be something to look at and just make it project based. So maybe the beginner is only releasing an EP just to get their feet wet, so they're only going to need $2,000.
Sure, yeah.
That's just food for thought.
Just to go back to the last topic, the marketing.
Mhm.
Has there been any thought about some of those funds being applicable for the hiring of like someone to consult with and that kind of stuff? Because when we use the sound recording program and then kind of developed our own marketing plan, none of us have a lot of experience in that area, and it would be cool to have like someone kind of backing that and helping us to push that through in a more effective manner. So funds being, available to fund that type of professional. Oh, not a grant writer, but someone that would help you with your marketing, consult with throughout.
Well, that would be a marketing person. So
yeah.
it's not really. I mean, you can call it a consultant, you can call it whatever you want, but you
Sure.
would hire specific people to help you with specific areas. Anything that you need help with, in acts or like in trying to figure out how to get to those people. I mean, that's what we're there for. You can come to us anytime, and we can recommend people to talk to.
Sure.
That kind of thing.
But would money within that grant, could you
Yes.
use it to hire those
Yes.
professionals? Okay.
Yep.
We have a question here from the Chili Weasel. A question about the demo grants. Why is the grant sometimes not awarded even when 3 judges have said yes on the project? Chili Weasel, I don't know what that means because that's never happened. So maybe if you want to elaborate on the only way that would ever happen is if we offered the funding to somebody and then they declined it, which has happened. Whether it be health issues or whatever. So timing, whatever. So if you want to elaborate more on that question, we can try and answer it. Greg wants to, Mike?
Got a question, is if there's any plans to have funding or make some of the existing funding eligible for work on the island or in the rest of the province.
Sorry? Say it again?
So, like, if I want to bring my band to Labrador.
You mean like in-province touring?
In-province touring, because I'm one of my groups is looking at that right now, and it's still very expensive, and a lot of at a lot of driving and, not a big market. I'm not sure. I'm sure there are good reasons why there is no funding currently allotted for that. But just curious on your thoughts on in-province touring or professional development or whatever.
It's definitely a question we get a lot. People looking for in-province touring. The nature of the market access program when it was originated many years ago, was because the government, acknowledged the fact that we are on an island and it's more expensive for Newfoundlanders to tour and do these initiatives in any other parts of the country. This program, not a lot of the music industry associations are lucky enough to have this program, so it's kind of cool that we have it. But that's definitely a question that comes up in province touring, and something that should be considered. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's also a very large province.
Very expensive to get to Labrador. Extremely expensive. Okay. Did the Chili Weasel get back to me? Okay, the Chili Weasel has gotten back. In response to a letter I got that's out of the unanimous judges said yes, but I was still rejected. I thought maybe there was some criteria I wasn't understanding. Okay, I think I see what he means. So when a jury meets for recording projects, the review sheets that are given back to the applicants, you might have a great score. Like your score might be really well, and on the bottom of the sheet it could say that you are recommended for funding because you scored so high. But in the reality, if you get 30 applications, you might get 7 of them that could be recommended for funding because they scored so high. But in reality, they can only choose 4. So they kind of spread out the top ones of their top selections, and then they have to choose 4, which is extremely difficult, and it makes my job really hard when somebody comes in and they're like, I scored well on everything, I got A's on everything, I did so well. And then it's hard for me to give feedback. So, they ask how they can improve, and sometimes, there isn't concrete things that they can improve on. It's just a matter of could only fund 4 and there was too many received. So that's kind of what that means. Works. But Chili Weasel, you can still come in and we can have a chat about it and maybe go over some of that stuff in detail.
Yeah, that's the one message that I really do want to get across to everybody is that if you guys have get turned down or don't get the funding and you want me or Jen to have a look at the marketing plan and give you a hand at reapplying, my door is wide open for that. I'm very happy to help with anything. Same with Factor too. Like if you need our help and looking over your plan before you submit it, or you need help setting up the portals, we're going to start a little workstation in the office for artists to come in and book an appointment through our good friend Patrick over here. And then, and then you can come into the office, your application right next door to us. And then if you have questions, you're more than welcome to come and knock on our door. Matt's done it, Greg's done it.
Chili Weasel says, thanks. Thanks, Chili Weasel. Also, I'm just going to throw it out there because I've seen a couple of bands. There's one in particular, I'm not going to say their name. If you apply once and you don't get it, to have the type of attitude to be like, oh, okay, I applied and I didn't get it, and now MusicNL are the man and they're demons and they, they don't help me. It's very rare for anybody to come in the first time out of the gate and get sound recording funding. Is very rare. Normally it takes a couple of shots and it takes, getting that review back and, going through the process a couple times. It's very rare to get it the first time. And just, come in and let's talk about it and go through it. And, sometimes, unfortunately, the case is, well, you did score really well. It's just, you were just underneath that thing. We just really want to encourage everybody to keep applying. Sometimes it takes a few times. I know Liz Picard applied, I think, her 5th time with the Black Bags and got it on her 5th try, but at least she kept trying. So just encouraging you guys to keep applying.
I was
Yes,
going to say
Selena.
in response to Chili Weasel or whatever, that also happened years ago.
Ah,
Yeah, all 3 judges said yes, and no, I still didn't get it.
Yeah.
Maybe I can bring that one back if I still have it sitting around somewhere and figure out what I did wrong on it.
yes, there you
But
go.
yeah, I'd also be great to see a little help center because I'm applying for my first tour grant from you guys, and the market plan's not very exciting to do, but it's definitely an exercise in and of itself. So I'll definitely be coming to you guys for help.
Yeah, just all we ask is that you call us first and book an appointment just to make sure that, we could have the right amount of time to spend with you on it. Okay?
Sure. Okay, going through some more questions. Something else that kind of came up, and I know that this is happening at a factor level, but do you guys think that someone's social media presence should be considered upon their application? Meaning if somebody has 0 social media presence, should that be a review component along with lyrics, marketing plan, EPK, etc.? Should someone's web presence be part of the consideration of a jury?
I would say that it's definitely pieces of a pie, so it should be considered, but not the be all end all. I think if there's a new band, or even like you said, a market where, you're not getting necessarily top radio play, or you're not pushing, or even a new band, I think it would obviously be leveled. But like I was saying, it's not everything, but it's definitely something that you have to look at. Even YouTube views and stuff like that. It's definitely something that every band should be doing. There's no reason not to. It's free. You open a Facebook page. Why not, right? And if people like it, it's probably a marketable music. They're probably gonna be working hard at it. So.
Yeah, it's a huge point with Factor in their artist ratings these days. So, and let's face it, we're all online all the time. So, me not so much when I have technical issues with all of my computers, but it is a big factor in today's market. If you want to, help market yourself, social media is huge. So you're right. It's not the end all to be all, but at the same time, it does need to be a component, I think.
I think that that kind of thing should be judged on how active the musician is in promoting themselves on it. But you can't judge it on Facebook likes or Twitter followers, because you can buy them. You can purchase them. So if you go with this guy has 3,000 Facebook likes or 8,000, well, I can buy 5,000 for
Right.
each, so it doesn't really show much, but how much time the person is putting into it, how often they're updating it, how often they're, plugging themselves on it. I think that's a better criteria to judge that on.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing worse than Googling an artist and they haven't posted in 3 years, and then they just feel stagnant. And yeah, good point. Alrighty. Did anybody have any other questions or comments or stuff on funding programs specifically? We're trying to hit a lot of different points. Matt?
This is probably something we'd all like, but we never talked about the video programs. I know that there's definitely a significant need for it in today's market.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the funding should be. I don't know if it's $5,000. I don't know if it's $500. There's people are in this province who will make a video for you at whatever cost. You can find them. So I think we should definitely start supporting that. And I don't know if that's a partnership with a film festival like we had at MusicNL this year, or if it's a partnership with a group brand. I don't even know what is in the film world, but it definitely needs to happen sooner rather than later.
And further to that point, because what I see, I sat on the committee when they redid all the funding programs at MuchFact, marketing sound recording thing, is because, there you can apply for a commercial video if that's what you need, but you can also apply to content. I think it was July Talk that just recently they filmed their entire tour and it was all paid for by MuchFact, so it's content for their website and to have their fans be more engaged and stuff like that. And maybe it's just a viral video if you're at a more entry level position, or maybe it's maybe it's a series of videos because it's part of your campaign, or part of your YouTube page or whatever. I think that when we do discuss those, I'd love to hear some feedback about what you guys think about what kind of videos get funded or how. Is it content? Do we have all three? Do we have, do we make it your choice to part of your marketing plan, or do we keep it as a separate? Any feedback on that would be awesome.
Just from some of our people, a lot of people do agree that the web presence should be included, but not a heavy game. Dean in Central. Hello, Dean. Dean runs Citadel House, and he says, as somebody who books artists in a venue, a website, an actual web page, not Facebook, is crucial. Because I guess Facebook, you can't get as much access to information as you would through a website.
Dean, further to that, is it, do you think for them to just have a page? Like sometimes web development can get quite expensive too, right? If they have everything that is necessary for buyers or club buyers, talent buyers, is one page good enough if they have all the necessary information there?
A member, Caroline Fowler, wants to know if anybody has suggestions on how to increase followers on Twitter and if there's any tips. Matt?
You can follow people and unfollow them. That's something that you can do.
Yeah.
You can also use more hashtags, tweet at people, and link your Twitter to your Instagram, your Facebook, and your YouTube pages. Make sure it all intermingles. You never want someone clicking on your Twitter and ending there. They got to click on your Facebook after that. You want them sent to a video or a song or iTunes, wherever your end goal is. Is your end goal? Have your Facebook go into your Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah. In a nutshell, be as active as possible with your Twitter and to a certain point, no overkill. Do a bit of the overkill, and it's like I need to unfollow this person immediately.
A fine balance.
A fine balance. So yeah, Caroline, the general consensus is stay active. Points there, Matt. Thank you.
Well, that being said, if you link your Facebook with your Twitter, Facebook has algorithms to only promote things that come within Facebook. So we stopped posting stuff. We stopped syncing stuff and posting it individual on each one because if we posted something on Facebook that was linked to our Twitter, there'd be less, it would reach less people. Like for example, if you posted a video and you upload it straight to Facebook compared to a YouTube link you uploaded to your Facebook, you get way more views on your video that you uploaded straight to Facebook, just because Facebook wants to promote specifically what's on their site and not something that comes from another site. Because if they allow a lot of hits to be seen from another site, it's going to bring a lot of traffic somewhere else. So sometimes it's good to link things, but it's also good to do individual.
Okay. Start going to some other stuff. Squatter.
Get tweets from famous people.
Get retweeted from famous people. That's what Patrick says. Okay, just to go into some just general MusicNL business. Communication specifically, some questions on that. So our emails, do you guys feel like it's too much? It's too late? Do we stop this one-off system and move to like a weekly? Good. My job is not obsolete. Okay, and how about any ideas or our website? Should it be stripped back to be something more simple? Should we be adding more things, for example, bulletin boards and calendar of events and things of those sort, or do you feel kind of status quo is working?
I find often when there's like a featured, I know there's like the featured profile, and some people don't have like their picture up, like a gray silhouette.
Yeah.
Name, and there's not a lot of information there. So I don't know if there'd be a way that it could feature the Facebook page of someone, because it's for someone to take the 2 or 3 steps to be okay. You know, Chris Kirby is a featured member. Okay, I click on his membership. Okay, and then I click on his webpage, and then I'm sent, or so I have to go into his MusicNL profile in order to get to his website or his Facebook page. And so I find I find they're often not super up to date, and they're not that well integrated into other social media. So I don't know if it could be, if you want to feature a member, maybe it's I don't know, maybe it's a Twitter shout out, or maybe it's a link to their Facebook page, or maybe it's something else that's a little bit more kind of accessible to people who are actually on the MusicNL webpage.
Would you guys like to see a station on the website where you could upload your own information? When, like an open forum or some sort of spot where you could say, hey, we have a, video release party, or we have, where you can upload your own information or even link it with your own sites and stuff like that. Would that be
Can we not do that on the MusicNL Facebook page?
on Facebook? You can, but on the actual
On the-
website itself, or is that just not really relevant?
People probably just use the Facebook page.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of just adding it's something that is already there on social media as it is.
Okay.
If it could, maybe there could be a system like you can post on the MusicNL page, but I don't know if you could set up like the Twitter account to automatically repost certain hashtags, like if you have a show like show this week, hashtag show this week in NL or something, not that, but something. I don't know if there's, or it could be manual as like, hey, at MusicNL, like I'm playing a show wherever. Maybe that could be an additional way for MusicNL to engage with its members that you wouldn't need to set up a forum or something on the website.
Does anybody use all of the links that are provided? Do you guys use that portion of the site at all? Is that helpful? Has anybody? Yeah. Okay, great. Because it took
The
a
link section?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that link section took me a long time. Use it, people. Okay. Dean said Ben Zoogle is $20 a month. I look for video and audio which can be used to a YouTube SoundCloud page from your website to our activity reviews and audio samples. And that set up a one-page website can take care of the important links in one place. Thanks, Dean.
Thanks, Dean.
Caroline Fowler is asking what everyone's thoughts are on Reverb Nation, beneficial or no. Anybody? Dean says he feels like Reverb Nation is getting awkward and doesn't seem to be very efficient. Would anybody agree? It seems everyone agrees.
You know those like relationships when everyone's on Facebook? They say the more your relationship's on Facebook, the worse your relationship is in real life. I feel that the more active you're on Reverb Nation, probably the less you're doing in real life. I've seen people who are like number one on Reverb Nation have never played a show. I mean, I don't feel like that's the definement of the defining success in a musician's career. So.
Right. Well, let's keep going.
Yeah.
MusicNL Week. How does everyone feel about it? Is it beneficial? One guy said that he felt that MusicNL's week cost outweighed its advantages. How do we feel about MusicNL Week and us having an award show at all? 'Cause, like Music Nova Scotia has taken out their awards, for example. How do you guys feel about MusicNL Week? Is it beneficial, and should we be having an award show anymore?
I've really enjoyed the award show the past several years. I think it's been well produced and not too long, and having it in different places on the island is maybe a good way to get people from St. John's out playing to other audiences. But that being said, if it disappeared, I'm not sure if it's breaking the budget or maybe it's a budgetary concern. But one thing I do feel that about MusicNL Week that maybe I'd like some clarification on is if you're someone who is nominated for an award, or if you're even playing a showcase, why, if you're nominated and playing a showcase, say the two, why you would both play for free, which is the case with showcases, and then pay to participate and to take in the panels when you kind of you're part of what is making the awards show, the week itself happen.
Right. So you think like a nominee or a showcasing artist should probably get their delegate pass for free?
I think so, and I think for the showcasing artist, for showcasing artists, like maybe that's something that, especially if they're playing not in their hometown, is maybe something that could be visited to be a paid gig. I mean, it's kind of this status quo thing that everyone accepts that yes, for certain opportunities, be they real or imagined, that you're going to play for free. But I think that doesn't have to be the case. There's no reason why we have to just expect people or not pay musicians. Like I think I'd like to know the reasoning behind it. I know there's this sense of giving back, but there's also the sense of getting paid for your work.
Normally you'd never get paid for a showcase, no matter what the event. Showcases are normally not paid.
Which I think is maybe silly, and there's not necessarily like, why are we just saying that? Are we just doing that because that's the way it is, or is there like
well,
a better
showcases
reason?
are events that are put together by organizations and whoever, and you're put in the room with buyers, and so for example, MusicNL Week is very expensive, of course, and we pay to bring in panelists and buyers and whatever we can bring in. So when somebody's creating a showcase opportunity to bring in all these individuals, they're supplying the venue, the back line, the lighting, the sound guy. So it's actually costing a lot of money to put off the showcase. So the hope is that, yeah, you're not getting paid, but the benefit to you as an artist is what it's supposed to be about, essentially.
Yeah, but maybe a pass for the conference might be something to consider.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can see that.
Yeah.
Online, it was said MusicNL Week is beneficial, but would be useful for all levels of artists if we were to bring in more industry professionals like we did a few years ago for the TV and film theme conference, which was really good. If there were out-of-town delegates there to buy our talent, then being offered a free showcase has much higher value. And I'm refreshing. Oh, read yours. If you are unable to leave comments on the YouTube page, again, send questions to the MusicNL Facebook post about the Town Hall webcast if anybody's having any trouble. All right.
I just wanted to make a quick point about MusicNL Week and the award show. I think it would be a real shame if that was gone. I really do. And I know that it's huge on the budget, but I think it's a way to celebrate what people have put a lot into, and it's a way to get them some recognition. It's really great on people's CVs, to get an award, and it's a way just to be recognized by your peers, and I wouldn't want to see that disappear.
Yeah. Matt?
Something I've thought about a lot recently is that the MusicNL showcases, I know that they're meant to target the music industry, but at the same time I feel like it'd be a great opportunity to get people who wouldn't usually go to a bar or wouldn't usually go to see a band in our venue seeing live music. Because I think after touring a lot and seeing how the music culture in local towns, I've come to see that St. John's is really based around the bar scene. And I know that a lot of music thrives in bars. I know that that's kind of how it works in St. John's. But for a lot of bands, it'd be really beneficial to have all ages shows, and not necessarily an all ages showcase, but even something where we're targeting the general public to get in to see the MusicNL showcases. Because like, if I'm the average St. John's citizen, and I hear the MusicNL showcase, that doesn't really entice me to go see that venue. And I know that it's also not the responsibility of the showcase, but it could be an opportunity for us to get people who wouldn't see a band seeing our bands.
So you think maybe MusicNL should be doing more advertising and marketing?
Yeah, I think, and maybe, I know that, well, we're bringing in these delegates and we're wanting our artists to play, but try and get some new faces in the venues. If even an average bar show here in St. John's, you look around, it's mostly musicians coming to see it.
Yep.
And it, I know that bands like the Once or Hey Rosetta are starting to break that mass market thing. Hey Rosetta can fill an arena. Why can't any other band? Why can't, if 8 of the best bands in MusicNL are playing at the Rock House, why are there only 200 people there? On Wednesday night, why are there only 50 people there? Definitely ourselves as well as artists. I mean, that's our business, that's our responsibility, but maybe we as a group even can
We
put
need to
some
promote
more,
outside.
Yeah, and as a group, maybe make these showcases a little more special, because the band that's coming on before you and the band that's coming on after you need those fans just as much.
Let me ask a question.
Sure.
Do you think that that there should be room for, because this was my first MusicNL week, which was, as you know, a bit of a whirlwind for me,
Absolutely.
having just moved here. But do you think that maybe the showcase is starting right at 7 and going all the way till 3 in the morning is a bit much? Do you think we need to scale that back a little bit?
Well, yeah, that's probably 2 different shows, I think, ideally. I don't know about you guys. Open this up to the floor.
Okay.
I just said yes. I agree.
That's a yes. Anyone else?
Aaron?
I just want to make a little comment. The usefulness of the week. I went to 2 now, and I really thought they were both great and very valuable. And played one showcase that was in Gander. This year, the showcase the venue was much better. Like, that was a real stage. My only complaint about either of the 2 weekends was when it was in Gander, for all the economic benefit that the group is bringing, holding a conference there and filling up hotel rooms and people are buying stuff and they're at the bar, the town could have provided a reasonable size of a stage to play on, because the stage there was actually probably smaller than when you guys are 2 right now.
And Legend.
And if this is your big show,
Yeah.
and great, and you guys spent a ton of money on like really top quality sound, and there was like not 5 inches to move. I was like, we were all just jammed up there on the stage with an 88 key double rack piano, and there's no room. So like, and I don't even think that's you guys. I think like if you're going to do that for the town could provide you a reasonable venue to play on. And if they can't do that much, then why are you having it there? That would be my only thing to say.
Yeah, sometimes that can be tough, but definitely take that into consideration.
I mean,
in CMW, I've managed a bunch of bands, and I did A&R for 15 years, and I've seen some pretty large bands squish onto stages smaller than this, and they're all trying to move and get everybody excited.
and it's a little bit
and
tough.
it's
Yeah.
tough. It's like sometimes you just get, you get what you get, and you have to make the best of it. But definitely, I hear you.
Yeah, I don't think it would be that much more expensive to just extend the riser out 4 feet, and then there's enough room to play.
But then you're talking about less people in the room, so it's
I guess
it's
so.
6 to 1.
Half dozen or better.
Yeah.
Online, Scott Hammonds, how much goes into a whole week versus the week? Perhaps it would be worth spending more money on bringing people in rather than extending the event over a week. Well, I mean, I know some of the board are here, but I can say that the bulk of the expenses is definitely the weekend. Because that's where when you're bringing in the people and the hotel rooms and the travel and accommodations and etc. The St. John's portion kind of honors sponsors who want events in St. John's. For example, Statoil is a sponsor of the Newfound Talent Contest, and they don't fund contests outside of St. John's. So it is honoring them as a sponsor locally. And we've also paired up with the Nickel, who were more interested in having an event in St. John's than they were traveling outside, for example. But the bulk of the money definitely is spent on the weekend portion and the gala. But obviously it'd be a lot less work for the office if it was only a weekend, but I like to torture myself. But good point, Scott. Thank you.
I have maybe a comment and a question about this idea of getting bands into alternate venues, maybe, or about getting the not the average kind of music goer out to see bands, and maybe this. I don't know. Maybe this could play into some kind of not professional development, but outreach. Does MusicNL have any initiatives where they are bringing artists into schools, or trying to do alternate venues like outside of bars?
We do have some in the works. Nothing is, set in stone yet, but we do have a few outreach programs that we want to take. One of them being the town hall meeting.
Okay.
That's one of the things that now that we can stream it live, we want to take that around the whole province and Labrador as well. Because if we can stream it back, then, of the whole province as opposed to just St. John's. And I think that's really important and valuable.
Yeah, and we have done, we do work with the school board, and we've done some outreach with the schools, but more would definitely be good. And then get the members involved. We did a road show, not last summer, but the summer before, where we went around to all the schools. We were in the schools in the days, and I chatted with the kids about music as a and then we brought and Chris Kirby and Joanna Barker with us because we were kind of focused in Central, so we wanted to have Central artists. And we did a bit of a tour to the schools, and then they performed in the night times, and it went really well. So more of that would be really good.
And we want to bring in what we'd like to see happen is bringing in experts from outside of the province to work with the professionals and artists within the province and take that on the road as well. So that it's a mixture of both, and then everybody learns from everybody, and I think that might be a win-win situation as well.
It's 8:30.
Is it? Should we get to the last couple of...
Yeah, maybe we'll just run to another little couple of things. Workshops and panels and things of the sort. We really want to start offering lots of those.
As we just mentioned.
Yes. So, do you guys feel like you benefit more from a one-on-one situation with somebody who's brought in, or do you think that still the workshop is still beneficial? And how long and how often should these workshops be happening?
I know, being at the East Coast Music Awards, East Coast Music Week, that having like a mentor for some of the from some of the sessions was really good. Someone you can come back to if you're at a conference, say MusicNL Week, that you have someone that you could kind of keep coming back to and say hello to. It's a good it's someone in the industry that you actually kind of get to know, but it's also someone that you can keep bouncing ideas off of throughout that week or that weekend. But in terms of like the workshops and kind of professional development with someone from away, I know the NLAC, last year they had like every month, it was on the same like day every month, they had workshops on social media, different aspects of social media. So I think something like that, maybe not regular, but maybe I don't necessarily think we need one-on-one all the time, but have that lots of people can go to.
Would you prefer, would you be interested in them being like an all-day session where you had like maybe a morning session and then an afternoon session, or do you want like a couple of hours, or like?
I think a couple of hours. I think it's really hard. Like even MusicNL weekend, like I think the last 2 years we haven't been, I haven't been able to go out for the Friday night because we're playing, on a non-MusicNL gig, and it's like if it's out of town. And so I think it's really hard because we're all trying to stay afloat, as someone said earlier, and we're just trying to work and work. And yes, you have to take time sometimes out of your work to develop yourself professionally, but I would sooner see smaller workshops that you could take, during the day or over your lunch break or whenever it may be throughout the year, rather than having to try and find this weekend where you're not playing, you're not up late, or you're not recording or what have you.
It's just when you're bringing in people like international delegates, it's really hard to be cost effective if they're only coming in for a couple of hours. So
Maybe it's not someone from away sometimes.
well, no, it won't always be, but I'm just, do you have no interest in us bringing in international delegates or?
No, sorry. I guess I was more answering your comment about just workshops in general or professional development in general, rather than someone from outside of the province. Of course, if you're bringing someone in, yes, you'd want to have as much time with them as possible.
So a mixture of both then?
I think a mixture of both,
Okay.
but I think we all, even in this room, I'm sure we all have different strengths when it comes to like the industry side, like of what we're doing, rather than just the creative side. And
Yes.
I think having sessions, maybe throughout the year, short sessions might be something where you have someone talk about grant writing, have someone talk about social media, have someone talk about
Absolutely, and we're
touring or
planning a
whatever.
lot of that.
Awesome.
But one of the things I wanted to do for those of you that will be giving back to that is to bring in professionals to help you develop as well. So you would sit on the panels together, in other words, and then you would be able to spend time with them and learn from them and get international connections. That's kind of where I was going with that. But yeah, we want to do both for sure.
I think something that would be interesting with a one-on-one type of meeting would be some type of mentorship, and we kind of discussed this before, where it could be specific. Like if my band would be interested in maybe receiving mentorship with our live performance, if that was a specific type of mentor program that you guys offered, and then there was another one for business development or marketing, and different aspects that would all be important to our professional development, and then maybe the funding is to your mentor and they get to come to X number of jams, or they come to a direction, come to a live performance, and just boost your development.
Great idea.
Yeah. Yep.
Great idea.
We got another question online. Are there any local contests for older musicians in town, like the Statoil for Youth one? Got that question a lot. But no. Well, yes, kind of. I mean, in a way, I don't know if anybody read that article that Chad Pelly did in the Overcast this month about the funding, arts funding. I wanted to jump up and clap my hands, but he actually says in the article that realistically, sometimes looking at the funding programs at MusicNL and NLAC, they are kind of like a contest, realistically. So, no, we're not offering contests like Statoil contest for people over 19, but, we do offer the funding programs. Plus, there's always different random contests that will pop up, and we will send it out through our channels. We will, send it out through email and Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff. So if there is anything happening, anything credible that we support, we will send it out.
And that's nationally too.
Yes. Yeah. Nationally, internationally, whatever. We'll send out, showcase deadlines, contests, opportunities, educational opportunities, whatever. It's 20 to 9 there now.
Yeah.
Do we go up?
I think we're going to have to wrap it up soon, but and just open the floor to just a little mixer before the open mic starts with Chris Meyer Gold, but we really would love comments you guys have. Please do send them our way. The more we get, the better. We want to restructure and serve our members as best we can. And, we really want to, create some new programs that are current, up-to-date, beneficial for everybody. So we really, really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. And we'd love for you to stick around and enjoy the open mic night. thanks a lot for coming, everybody. Is that it? Do we get?
Went into some other things, but it was kind of like in the grand scheme of things. I didn't ask that. Yeah, the province, would you pay?
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe we
EPs
can
as
put them
opposed to
online.
demo? Yeah, but I mean, really, we kind of touched on everything kind of anyway.
I think so,
Even
yeah.
on the questions.
We sort of jumped here and there and. Okay, is this still on? Patrick, is this still on? Thanks to everybody online too. Really, really appreciate everybody tuning in. And I'd like to also mention that on our YouTube page, this session will be available to review anytime you wish. And please do send in comments that anybody has or suggestions. Thanks again, everyone.